This might offend some people, but it needs to be said. The average IQ of a person from Somalia is right around 70, okay? So the fact of the matter is they could not have been the originators of this multi-million-dollar fraud scheme we're seeing be unearthed in Minnesota. There are very powerful individuals on the left who want to exploit these individuals and who want to bring them in and make them be your problem, make them siphon off your tax dollars forever. And it goes so deep, they'll even inject this into the school system curriculum so that your own children will learn more about diversity and inclusion than they will about how to use the tax code to their advantage to make sure they can keep as much of their money as possible and keep it from being given to these entities who are going to waste it on illegal immigrants in the first place and fraudulent pyramid schemes propped up by the left. What's crazy is this even goes deeper than just Minnesota. Did you know that over the 2023-2024 fiscal year, over $47 billion in Obamacare subsidies were found to be unaccounted for? No idea where that money went. And guess what? That was funded by your tax dollars as well. This is the scheme, and the fear is nothing will come from this. The individuals will be allowed to walk free, even after it's been proven that they are the reason that so much of your tax dollars are wasted in the first place, and why so many individuals have come to this country who care nothing for the country or its customs. So we have to demand some action from this. Hopefully we will see some actual action, some large-scale arrests, because if we don't, there's nothing to look forward to for the average everyday American citizen who will continue to be used as a tool or a cog in the machine as the left continues to shake the country dry and give it away to anyone else besides American citizens.
Wow. Yeah. Great way to start the show off today. Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel. This brother is absolutely right. Somebody has to be held accountable. We're going to start here. Let's hear from current governor in Minnesota, Governor Walz. And I want you guys to know that this situation with the Somalis, it's not just an American thing. It seems like they do this everywhere, and we're going to get into that here in a second as well. Again, hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Let's keep going.
Look, it's not law-abiding citizens. If that were the case, there's a lot of white men should be holding a lot of white men accountable for the crimes that they have committed. I think for the community to maybe educate their population, because I think what you're seeing here is there's secondary victims in this, that there's providers inside the community that are then victimizing the community themselves by signing them up, because when we're going to some of these people, they're like, I had no idea I was in this program.
So he's not admitting the fraud, but he's trying to point the finger or say it's, white man, white supremacy, so forth and so on. Y'all know the tropes.
So I think it's asking us then, for every crime, which of course the majority being committed by white men, asking us to do more about that. I think it's crime in general. And I think the biggest thing on this is just making sure that we're educating the population. And again, this is 80 people or so that have been convicted in this, maybe some more in that, out of a broader ring. Medicaid fraud will stretch across all racial demographics, all ethnic groups. So I think it's really important for us to note each community's got this in their own midst, but to blame them and say that they should have been responsible for stopping it, I think that's a pretty hard reach. I think we continue to educate folks about why they shouldn't commit crimes. You would hope that it's being taught both at home and at schools and in our society. But no, I think this idea that the Somali community's to blame for this because they didn't do more, I think that's how we got into this. And that's, again, I know we're not going to lose the whole plot here. All this work that's being done, Donald Trump brought this to the attention like this is something brand new. This is not brand new, and it's been being worked on, but he made it white hot and very dangerous.
Oh, man, this guy is a piece of work, man. He really is. He's a piece of work, to say the least.
Out in Minnesota, and the state welfare program has been under federal investigation since all the way back in 2022. The president told you, though, this week to look into Somalis who, quote, ripped off that state for billions of dollars. He said they contribute nothing. What exactly are you investigating?
Well, Margaret, to be clear, the initial fraud that was discovered by the IRS, for which I'm the acting commissioner, is discovered by IRS Criminal Investigations Unit. This was not an endogenous thing that the state of Minnesota decided we had to go in and clean up the mess for them, and this is part of the continued cleanup. A lot of money has been transferred from the individuals who committed this fraud, including those who donated to the governor, donated to Representative Omar, and donated to A.G. Ellison. But they've been transferred to something called MBSs. And those are...
Mortgage-backed security? What do you mean?
Sorry?
Transferred to what?
These are money the Bureau services, and they are wire transfer organizations that are outside the regulated banking system. And that money has gone overseas, and we are tracking that both to the Middle East and to Somalia to see what the uses of that have been.
Okay, but you have no evidence of that money being used to fuel terrorism at this point, which is what some conservative writers are alleging.
That's why it's an investigation. We started it last week. We'll see where it goes. But I can tell you that, it's terrible. Representative Omar tried to downplay it, said, it was very, it was very tough to know how this money should be used.
Yeah.
She was gaslighting the American people.
Well, we'll talk to her.
Yeah, but when you come to this country, you got to learn which side of the road to drive on. You got to learn to stop at stop signs, and you got to learn not to defraud the American people.
Well, there are plenty of criminal behavior from communities well beyond the immigrant community. But we'll talk about this with Representative Omar shortly.
All these people do is cape. That's it. They just cape. Just do your job. Do what you're supposed to do. You're a journalist. I understand. It seems like they're really quick to hold the fire or hold the feet of someone from the right or from the current administration's feet to the fire. But when the fraud and when all of this that's going on is pointed in the direction of those on the left, and these immigrants and these people, whether they're illegal or on some form of temporary status or whatever the case may be, these folks don't want to talk about them. It's crazy. It is crazy.
To resign. You need to resign. Like this, you've been doing damage control for the last couple of years, and you've done a horrible job at it. Now it's the baby's here, and someone's got to raise this little bastard, because you can't hide it. And the fact that you used it on the campaign trail should let Andy. Now listen, I did not serve the badge like you did, sir, but I have watched a lot of Murder, She Wrote. And if you are praising yourself over something that's a fraudulent scam, because the numbers are good, there's a good chance that, and we used the magic word yesterday like this, complacent, then you were very complacent to what was been going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of complacency. And again, like Scott Bessner said, they had been investigating this since 2022, but fraud goes back even further than that. And it sounds like, or seems like, that this is just their MO. This is who they are. No matter where they are in the world, you put these people in your country, the likelihood of them finding a way to defraud and scam pretty daggone high. Hey, check this out.
Hey America. While you're debating whether Ilhan Omar married her brother for citizenship and watching every question about fraud deflected as hate or racism framing, this isn't just an American story. Did you know the same thing happened in Sweden? Somali-born MPs and community leaders there were caught in schemes siphoning over 100 million from schools, welfare and public programs. In Minnesota, prosecutors say 250 million meant to feed hungry American children was stolen, the largest welfare fraud in US history. Same pattern, same community networks, same playbook, and everyone insists these are isolated incidents. So how do two countries 4,000 miles apart end up with nearly identical fraud networks led by people from the exact same place? To understand that, you have to understand Somalia. You see, Somalia hasn't had a functioning government since 1991. What filled the void? Clans, militias, warlords, and aid cartels. Aid theft isn't on the margins, it is the system. A UN investigation found diversion in all 55 displacement camps surveyed. Multiple reports documented up to 70% of food aid stolen or diverted. Investigations from 2010 to 23 repeatedly showed aid convoys hijacked, taxed, or resold, ghost beneficiaries, fake NGOs created to siphon funds. Money doesn't flow through ministries, it flows through clans. Loyalty networks are greater than governance, and clan leaders control distribution lists, ghost beneficiaries, and paperwork. Add the Hawala system. Brilliant for diaspora remittances, but perfect for untraceable money flows. Billions move outside Western oversight. This is Somalia's operating system. Survival economics built on exploitation, ghost paperwork, intimidation, and aid theft. Now drop that system into Western welfare states built on trust, self-reporting, and paperwork, and it scales. Diaspora networks recreated familiar structures. Minnesota wasn't ready for clan-based accounting. Sweden wasn't built to track Hawala-style flows. And social workers weren't trained to audit war economy fraud. Minnesota's scandal wasn't a mistake, it was a blueprint. Sweden's wasn't random. Same methods, different country, bigger budgets. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Minnesota looks identical to old UN scandals in Somalia. Ghost children, ghost beneficiaries, fake signatures, fake invoices, fake food, real money. Only difference? In Somalia, the money came from aid. In Minnesota and Sweden, it comes from taxpayers. When a survival economy built on aid theft enters welfare systems, fraud isn't accidental, it's predictable.
Wow. Sheesh. Think about this now. Two separate countries, 4,000 miles away. Same behavior. Same behavior. This is just who they are. It seems like it's just embedded in the DNA of these people.
The Somali community has decided to respond to the American public learning about their massive fraud schemes that total in the billions of dollars by holding a press conference where we're supposed to feel bad for them. But here's the thing. It didn't go as planned. The entire thing was a massive backfire, starting with this clip of a mother who stands there and says the truth instead of lying and then has a literal heart attack on stage. Here we go.
If childcare is cut, I'm unable to work or go to school. I understand fraud is bad.
Yo, she just glitched and froze in front of everybody. Yeah, fraud's bad. Yeah.
This is how endemic fraud is in the Somali community. You can't just say fraud is bad. She looked like she'd seen a ghost. She looks like she was about to be excommunicated for simply saying fraud is bad. And then everybody claps, and all the liberal white ladies clapping. And by the way, those liberal white ladies, they're daycare workers. One of them hopped up on the mic and did the exact same thing. Here we go.
And I do see some signs over here that say stop fraud, and I agree, stop it. There are wait lists for these programs that are years long. There is fraud.
Yeah, when Trump said they're not sending their best, this is what he's talking about. But it gets even more unbelievable. Somali fraud daycare owner hopped up on stage and decided to announce that his daycare had been broken into, and guess what the burglar stole? All of his employment records and all of the records of the children getting checked in. Those would, of course, be the records that the feds would use to put him in prison. And while he's sitting there sobbing, trying to make you feel sorry for him, people on the internet notice that he's wearing a $3,000 pair of glasses, designer glasses, some of the most expensive glasses you can buy. These glasses are like $50, by the way. I wouldn't even know what to do with a $3,000 pair of glasses, but this Somali scammer is literally wearing glasses more expensive than maybe your car, certainly more expensive than my first car. So, yeah, I don't feel bad. And I won't feel bad when they're denaturalized and deported, which is exactly what needs to happen.
No, I agree with Benny 1000% here, man. Spot on. Goodness gracious. This is crazy. Dude had on a $3,000 pair of glasses. Come on now. You know how many Americans don't even have $3,000 stacked up anywhere? This dude has it on his face. Sheesh.
It's literally impossible for everybody to agree on the same topic, but how are there people defending the fake daycare situation right now with the Somalis in Minnesota and now Ohio and probably many other places? How are there people actually defending this, defending the daycares? Oh, they're just attacking Somalis. How is not every American on the same page for once in saying this is crazy? These fake daycares are getting millions. People are like, oh, Nick Shirley pulled up, on a permanently closed location. But then people started to show up to the permanently closed location and saying, oh, we've been in operation for weeks. So like what? Bro.
Yeah, what is going on? But this is how people can believe it because, corporate media, they're not doing their jobs the way they're supposed to.
Is looking into Shirley's claims.
Hi, my name's Whitney Wild. I'm a correspondent for CNN.
We reached out to several of the daycares featured in the now viral video. Only one daycare facility answered and said they are a legitimate business.
Have you seen the videos, purporting that some of these daycares don't have kids inside?
Minnesota Republicans say despite the new focus from the Trump administration, they have been sounding the alarm on fraud for years.
You know, we have talked about fraud. We have gotten stories. We've tried to push this forward every way that we can.
At the daycare where Shirley showed back up, a stream of children walk inside.
You're saying that this is a fraudulent daycare. There's kids being dropped off right now.
Yes, the commissioner of children literally said a week ago this place was closed.
Did you know
They're
that?
showing face right now.
A viral video, disputed claims, and their full fallout remains to be seen.
Yeah, now think about that for a second. That's hard-hitting journalism right there. Let me call all of these places and ask them, do they have kids? That's hard-hitting. Then you turn around and you go to Nick Shirley and say, defend yourself. Instead of saying, you know what, let us do our own investigation and let us see what we find. That's how ridiculous corporate media has gotten.
Goes there and he says, or to another place, and he says, I want to enroll my kid. They say, no, you can't. Bro, then he said, okay, can I have a business card? No. How are y'all defending these fake daycares getting millions, bro? I really thought that this was going to be the one time that everybody was like together and being like, this is crazy. But I'm seeing many people, one of those guys that's like, let's fact check this or something like that, literally defending the fake daycares. And there's so many different things going on that makes you think that's crazy. Not only the permanently closed location, but him being like, I want to enroll my son. And they're literally like, no, we don't want you to enroll your son. You can't. We don't have a business card. Leave us alone.
Yeah, you can't make it up. You can't make it up.
The first day this came out, you know, people on Twitter were talking about it. The second day, silence. The third day, Kash Patel responds to it, and I'm sure you saw the tweet on here. Hey, the FBI is aware of recent social media reports in Minnesota. However, even before the public conversation escalated online, the FBI had searched. So he sends this tweet, right? It's dismantled $250 million in fraud, et cetera, et cetera. And then finally, it got to a point that it was so viral that everybody had to cover it. And they barely started covering it yesterday. I don't even think they did on the 29th. I think they started on the 30th. CNN, ABC, CBS, a lot of this other stuff. Has Kash Patel or anybody from the White House reached out to you yet?
No, Kash Patel hasn't. Other people have reached out as far as like, hey, do you want to come with us to see what's happening, or do you want to see what's happening? A lot of people have sent me messages on X. I mean, Mike Johnson was talking about it. And
J.D. Vance
talked about it. Attorney General Pam Bondi talked about it. Everyone's talking about it. I mean, literally the GOP was using a video referencing my video on their Instagram yesterday.
The GOP was?
The GOP official Instagram account.
I mean, look, the vice president responded. This dude has done more useful journalism than any of the winners of the 2024 Pulitzer Center Prize. The VP is giving you, but the FBI hasn't reached out to you at all.
No. I mean, there's been so many people that have messaged me, but there's people who are wondering how I got my information from the government. And I've been willing to say, like, yeah, I got it from David. If you want to talk to David, here's David's contact info. But I don't know how the government doesn't have all this information. It's kind of like surprising to me.
So you're surprised that the government doesn't have this information?
Yeah, they're reaching out to me to figure out what's going on. A few of them are.
Really?
Yeah.
Pretty high officials?
Not the high up officials, but the departments.
Departments are reaching out to you to see how you got it?
Yeah.
So are they reaching out to you asking how you got it because they want to catch the person that's blowing the whistle, or are they reaching out to you because they want to actually find out the work that you're doing, like some access to the information that they don't have themselves?
Well, I think they're trying to figure out how to go about this fraud because it's so big and so massive. Because it's not just the daycares, it's the home health cares, it's the transportation companies, it's the people, it's the translators at the hospitals. It's so vast and big that the network is massive. So I think they're trying to get an understanding of how big it is. And that's why you hear them talking about, we've had fraud for years. Tim Walz literally admits to the fraud. He's been talking about fraud he admitted to fraud yesterday. And he said, it's been happening for years. Okay, if it's been happening for years, why don't you stop it?
Yeah. Why haven't you done anything about it? That's why I wanted to show that clip earlier. They were talking about it. He tried to blame, it's been white men, and white men have been doing this, that, and the third. But y'all know that this is something that's been going on. It's been pervasive in Minneapolis and in the state of Minnesota. Why haven't you done anything? Why haven't you asked for help from the federal government? They always got their hands out for the federal government to do things. Why haven't you brought in the FBI or asked for help into this investigation? Why did you either fire or replace or displace or remove whistleblowers when they were letting it be known, like, hey, there's some irregularities there when it comes to, some of these invoices and things of that nature? Why didn't you say, you know what, we got to do something about this. Let's investigate this further. And if we don't have the resources, let's go where we know has infinite resources, essentially. Why didn't that happen?
He said this yesterday. Yeah, and there was the one clip that he moved the flag, and there's a whole thing about how Minnesota changed its flag to look pretty much identical to Somalia's flag. If you've not seen this, take a look at this. First, this is the clip of that. You can play this clip and then we can go matching the flag. Old flag to the new flag. So this is the old Minnesota flag. Right, Rob? That's the Minnesota flag, the old one. Mm-hmm. And he replaces it with the new flag. I believe that's the new Minnesota flag. I don't think that's Somalia's flag. I think that's their new flag. But if you go to the picture next to you on X, you see how it says go next? No, right there, right there. Yeah, look at that. They changed their picture. That's the old Minnesota flag on the top left. The bottom left is the new Minnesota flag. And then go look at Somalia's flag on the right. You tell me if you see any similarities. So they changed their flag, Minnesota, nicest people in the world is what they're supposed to be, to the Somalia flag. And then Tim Walz is sitting out there talking about that they've been dealing with this for many years. Yet he was bragging, if you have that one clip when he was debating with J.D. Vance, that they're opening up the most daycare centers and record-breaking daycare centers, and they're doing such a good job. This was in the debate, folks. Watch this.
We in Minnesota passed a paid family and medical leave. You have a child, and I had to go back to work 5 days after my kids were born. This allows you to stay home a certain amount of time. What we know is that gets the child off to a better start. The family works better. We stay in their employers. We get more consistency in that. So Kamala Harris has made it a priority. We implemented it in Minnesota, and we see growth. That's how you become a pro-business state. And so a paid family medical leave program, and I will tell you, go to the families or go to the businesses and ask them. As far as childcare on this,
and we did that.
You have to take it at both the supply and the demand side. You can't expect the most important people in our lives to take either our children or our parents to get paid the least amount of money. And we have to make it easier for folks to be able to get into that business and then to make sure that folks are able to pay for that. We were able to do it in Minnesota, and I'm still telling you this. We were listed as the best state. We're still in crisis on this. A federal program of paid family and medical leave and help with this will enhance our workforce, enhance our families, and make it easier to have the children that you want.
So in this debate, he challenged you. If you want to find out, go there. You took up the challenge.
Yes.
You went there.
Took up the challenge.
And maybe he shouldn't have said that.
What's in the dark always comes to light. And shout out to Nick Shirley. Once again, I want to say, let's make sure that we keep Nick Shirley lifted up in prayer. He's receiving death threats and things of that nature. Let's make sure we keep him and his family lifted up for exposing this, doing what corporate media should have done a long time ago. But I'm glad it's out there. I'm glad it's out in the open. And I would assume that there is more to come. Where there's smoke, there's always fire. I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the notifications on all so you never miss an upload. Appreciate you guys. Join the ARP family or buy your brother a coffee. Best way to support the channel. That link's in the description box below. And as always, appreciate you guys, man. Keep God first. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you all next time. God bless. Happy New Year. Take care. Peace.
Vibes so raw, can't hide the truth. Words so sharp.